Here's something wild. Your brain physically cannot feel empathy and Schadenfreude at the same time. They activate opposite neural networks. So when you feel pleasure at someone else's pain, your empathy circuits literally shut down. Your brain has to make a choice. It's one or the other. And today, I'm going to show you the brain scans that prove it. Have you ever scrolled through social media and seen a celebrity you dislike get into some trouble, and a tiny part of you felt good? Or maybe you saw a rival at work make a mistake in a big meeting, and you had to suppress a little smile. That feeling, that secret pleasure we get from someone else's misfortune, has a name: Schadenfreude. It's a German word that literally translates to harm joy. It sounds a bit dark, and we often feel guilty about it, but it's a surprisingly common human emotion. On the flip side, we have empathy. This is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It's what makes us cry during a sad movie, what compels us to help a friend who's hurting, and what forms the very foundation of our social connections. Empathy is the glue that holds society together. So we have these two powerful emotional responses to other people's experiences, one that connects us through shared feeling, and one that gives us a secret thrill from their struggles. You might think we can flip between them easily, or maybe even feel a mix of both. But neuroscience tells us something fascinating and a little bit startling. Not only are they different, they are neurologically incompatible. They are like two different programs that can't run on your computer at the same time. When one is on, the other is off. Let's dive into the brain to see what's actually happening. Neuroscientists have used fMRI scans, which measure brain activity by detecting changes in blood flow, to map out what happens when we feel these emotions. When you feel empathy for someone, a specific network in your brain lights up. This is often called the empathy network or the social brain. Key players here include the anterior insula and the anterior cingulate cortex. These are the regions that help you mirror the emotions of others. When you see someone in pain, these areas activate in a way that's similar to how your brain would react if you were the one in pain. It's your brain's way of simulating their experience. This is what allows you to say, "I feel your pain," and actually mean it on a neural level. Now, what happens when you feel Schadenfreude? Researchers found something completely different. When participants in studies were shown images of people they envied or disliked suffering a misfortune, the empathy network went dark. It was like a switch was flipped off. Instead, a totally different part of the brain lit up: the ventral striatum. This area is a core component of the brain's reward system. It's the same part that gets a hit of dopamine when you eat a delicious piece of chocolate, win a game, or receive a compliment. So, when you feel Schadenfreude, your brain is literally processing the other person's misfortune as a personal reward. It feels good in the same way that winning something feels good. This is the neural battleground, the empathy network versus the reward network. They are in a constant tug-of-war. You cannot have the anterior insula firing with compassionate pain and the ventral striatum firing with rewarding pleasure at the exact same time in response to the same event. Your brain is forced to choose a side. So what determines which side wins? What makes us tip the scales toward Schadenfreude instead of empathy? A huge factor is our perception of the other person. If we see them as part of our in-group, our friends, our family, people we identify with, we are far more likely to feel empathy. Their pain feels like our pain. But if we see them as part of an outgroup, a rival, an opponent, someone from a different social or political group, or even just someone we envy, the dynamic changes. This is where dehumanization, even in its mildest form, comes into play. When we start seeing someone as less than human, as a symbol, an obstacle, or just the other, it becomes much easier for our empathy circuits to power down. The less we relate to someone, the less their humanity registers in our brains, and the easier it is for the reward system to take over and interpret their downfall as a win for us. Think about sports rivalries. When the star player on the opposing team fumbles the ball at a critical moment, the stadium erupts in cheers. Are all those fans bad people? No, their brains have temporarily categorized that player as an obstacle to their own team's success. His failure is their victory. The empathy for the player's personal disappointment is switched off, and the reward circuit goes into overdrive. This can also happen with envy. Studies have shown that we're most likely to feel Schadenfreude toward people whose success we envy, especially if we feel their success is undeserved. When that person stumbles, our brain interprets it as a restoration of fairness, a cosmic rebalancing. It's the brain's reward system saying, "See, the world makes sense again." The fall of an envied person can feel like a boost to our own self-esteem, which is a powerful reward. Now, this might all sound a bit bleak. Are we all just wired to secretly enjoy the failures of others? Not at all. The good news is that our brains are incredibly plastic, meaning they can change and adapt. We can intentionally train our brains to be more empathetic. We have the power to choose which circuit we strengthen. So, how can we strengthen our empathy muscles? It's a lot like working out at the gym. You have to be intentional and consistent. But first, practice active perspective taking. The next time you see someone facing a misfortune, even someone you dislike or envy, consciously pause. Try to imagine the situation from their point of view. What might they be feeling? What fears or disappointments are they facing? Don't just see the event. Try to see the person experiencing the event. This simple mental exercise can help reactivate those empathy circuits that might have otherwise stayed dormant. Second, find common ground. The in-group and out-group distinction is what fuels Schadenfreude. The best way to combat this is to expand your in-group. Make an effort to connect with people who are different from you. Read books, watch documentaries, or just have conversations that expose you to different life experiences. When you start to see the shared humanity in others, their hopes, fears, and struggles, it becomes much harder for your brain to categorize them as an other. You begin to see a bit of yourself in them, and that is a powerful trigger for empathy. Third, practice mindfulness and self-compassion. This might sound unrelated, but it's crucial. When we are secure and compassionate with ourselves, we are less threatened by the success of others. Envy often comes from a place of insecurity. When you can accept your own flaws and celebrate your own small victories, you have less need to derive pleasure from someone else's stumbles. A mind that is calm and self-assured is less likely to seek the cheap thrill of the reward circuit and more likely to rest in the rich, connective experience of the empathy network. So the next time you feel that flicker of Schadenfreude, don't just feel guilty about it. Recognize it for what it is. A signal from your brain. It's a fork in the road. You can let your brain's reward system take over and enjoy the moment. Or you can take a breath, engage your prefrontal cortex, your brain's thinking center, and consciously choose a different path. You can choose to see the human being behind the misfortune. You can choose to exercise your empathy. It's not about never feeling Schadenfreude again. It's about understanding what's happening in your own mind and knowing that you have a choice. Every time you choose empathy, you are literally rewiring your brain to be more compassionate, more connected, and ultimately, more human. You're strengthening the circuits that bond us together, rather than those that find joy in our division. And in a world that can often feel very divided, that choice is more important than ever. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this dive into the brain interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos on the science of our minds. What are your thoughts on Schadenfreude? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.